All right, everybody, eCom Tom here with another video coming at you, and this is a very important update for you guys. In case you guys haven't heard of it, I know some people have made videos on it, but I do want to give my own personal take on it. And this is PayPal just announced at the beginning of April that they will no longer, starting May 7th, 2019, that they will no longer give you back your PayPal fees that you paid to PayPal when you refund a customer on eBay. So that's if, somebody asks for a return, or if you give somebody a partial refund for a damage or anything like that, they will no longer give you back your fees. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. And one thing that really strikes me with this is that eBay is really highly pushing to have sellers give free returns, because they're trying to be more like Amazon. But if you do give free returns, it was usually never an issue because you would go to Walmart or whatever your supplier was, get your return label and give it to the buyer, and then they'd ship it back. But nowadays, you will not, or starting in May 7th, 2019, you will not get your PayPal fees back. So say it was a $100 item, say it was a $200 item, a $100 item, if your fees are 2.9%, like most people in the US are, you're not going to get $2.90 back. You never got the 30-cent transaction fee back, and that was minuscule compared to the 2.9% on every single order that you won't get back if you return. So I do want to talk about that inside of this video, and I do want to talk about ways to prevent it, how I'm going to go about it. I'm going to ask you guys how you personally go about it, but one thing before I go into my computer, I do want to ask, did you guys know that this was a thing? Did you guys know that this was happening, and it's happening in literally 2 weeks or a little bit over 2 weeks? Please leave the comment down in the description below if you knew this was happening, what your opinions are on it, how you personally feel about it, because personally I'm a little upset that PayPal is going to be taking our money, but I do want to give you guys ways in this video to really avoid it and ways that I'm going to go about it and why it's even more of a reason to go manual with your eBay dropshipping store in 2019. So stay tuned. I'm about to go inside my computer right now and I'll see you in there. All right, everybody. So as I stated, this is the PayPal return and refund policy change of 2019. So let's get into it. So before we get started, I will be asking you interactive questions along the way as we go into this. Make sure that you guys are paying attention. And I also want to make sure that we get everybody's opinion on this because we need to work together in order to find the best way to avoid refunds and avoid returns in 2019 moving forward. I'm going to provide you guys with a lot of ideas that I have, but I want to hear your guys' feedback as well. So please pause the video, type in your answers at the end of the video, submit your answers, and I'll get back to you guys with a response. And also, if you like what you see during this video, please smash that like button. I want as many people out there in this dropshipping sphere to see this video in order to make sure that they know that this is going on in 2019, especially because it's happening in 2 weeks, and I don't want anybody to be blindsided by this. So again, let's go over what happened. So PayPal is no longer reimbursing fees on refunds. So the PayPal fees that they take, if you're in the United States, is usually 2.9%. They are no longer going to reimburse these fees. And this is screenshotted right off their website. We're changing how we treat refunds. If you refund partially or fully a transaction to a buyer or a donation to a donor, there are no fees to make the refund, but the fees you originally paid as a seller will not be returned to you. And in my opinion, that's not right. So we need to find ways to completely avoid returns as much as possible moving forward in order to mitigate the losses that we're going to receive from, or that we're going to incur when we refund or return an item to somebody. And of course, this isn't going to be a 100% fix to everything, but we can find ways to lower returns because back in the day when we were doing Amazon onto eBay automated with all these softwares, I was getting returns left, right, and sideways, and I couldn't care less because it didn't matter. I never incurred really a huge loss from it, but nowadays it is all about running a very tight ship, and this is one of the points I made here. You need to be running a tight ship, and you need to be going manual in 2019 because that's the only way to really run a tight ship with the eBay dropshipping business moving forward. So when does this start? May 7th, 2019, as I stated. And my first question here is, what is your plan moving forward? Do you have a plan? Did you know this was happening? And I want to hear you guys' opinions on it. But I do have more questions to ask you guys, so don't submit your questions yet or your answers yet. So first off, the first point I really want to be making to all of you guys is that you should already be trying to avoid returns at all costs. Because if you guys did not know, or if you're new to this channel or new to eBay dropshipping in general, in November 1st, 2018, eBay updated their return policy. And that stated that if you get extra returns or a high rate of returns in a specific category, say sports and outdoors, for example, then you will incur 4% extra final value fees in that category. So that's only very high rates of return, but these very high rates of return were were compared against your peers, which really makes no sense because there was no real data to go off of, like, oh, 5 out of 100 or 10 out of 100 returns was too many. It was just competing against your peers, so you really never knew whether you were going to be very high, or medium, or low. And I'm going to show you guys pictures of that in the next slide. So like I said, you're measured against your peers, and this is only for non-buyer remorse related returns. So buyer remorse related returns are, I didn't like the item, or I no longer need the item, or I ordered it by mistake. That's not going to hurt you really on eBay, but still, if you do a refund like that or a return like that, from May 7th onwards, you will not be getting your PayPal fees back. And then another question I have for you guys is, did you know that this was a thing as well? You guys might be incurring 4% extra final value fees, and you might not even know it. So I'm going to show you guys how to figure that out in the next slide. So if you're using the eBay Seller Hub, in which I highly suggest everybody use the Seller Hub on eBay. It's the best way to look at eBay. It's the best way to interface and interact with eBay. You're going to go to the Performance tab at the top. You're going to hover over it. Then you're going to click on Service Metrics. You're going to click on Items Not Described, but that pops up right away. And for instance, this is the Home and Garden category, and this is me highlighting that this is an old account that I had from back in the day that I used to do a lot of Amazon onto eBay dropshipping with. It says that my rate of returns is 1.03%, and that is supposedly average based on my peers. Right here, my peers are 0.82. I'm at 1.03. I'm still in the average section. But if I was up here in the very high section, I would be incurring 4% extra fees. This is also the current rate. You can also click the projected rate and go from there and see, all right, am I projected worse next month? How do I really fix this? And I've heard of people being able to call in and get rid of some of these returns and marks left on their account, but it is really hard, and eBay doesn't make it easy for you. So it does show you that one was items not received, one was or not as described, one was not working or defective, and then the rest of them were just, just different. They weren't anything, but they are different categories that I could have had something in. So this is a category that I am incurring on this other account that I don't use anymore 4% extra fees in. So this is sporting goods. I've done 949 in the last year right here, projected rate. And 22 out of the 949 were returned. That's a 2.32%, and supposedly that's very high against my peers. My peers are supposedly at 0.61%, and it goes and breaks down the extra returns. And I will be getting 4% extra final value fees. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't know what your margins are, but if you have 4% extra fees on your margins, it's not going to help your business whatsoever. I can tell you that. If your margins are 50% and you get 4%, you might not care about it. But if your margins are only 10% front end or 8% front end, or some of you guys are selling at a loss still and using automated software on flag stores, which I've been trying to explain over the last 3-4 months to stop doing that. If you guys are still doing that and you are just getting return after return after return, you are going to get hit with extra fees, and you will probably be losing money on the majority of your sales without you even knowing so. So let's also move on to the items not received thing. This is the next items not described on the on that service metrics section. And I just wanted to talk about that. So if you do get high amounts of items not received cases, which is in the very high, supposedly I was in the high section on this account, then you will also get longer shipping times or longer handling times on your listings than you actually have stated. So if you state that you have a 2-day or 3-day handling time, but you're in the very high section, it means that you're not fulfilling your handling time in the time that you actually say it's going to. So eBay will artificially raise it so that buyers know that they probably won't get their item on time. That's another thing. That's a little bonus right there. That's another thing to be looking out for. So what is the plan of action? First off, I want to ask, do you guys have a plan of action? Did you guys even know that this was existing or this was happening like I asked before? But the best thing that you can possibly ever do for this is you can focus on high quality items. So right here, I brought up 2 items from Walmart that most people, most likely are being drop shipped onto eBay. I didn't really check, but there's a 98% chance that they are. So this is the Mainstay 6-drawer dresser Columbia Walnut. And as you can see, it only has a 2-star review out of 42 reviews. First off, 42 is low compared to 1,610. Second off, 2 stars is awful out of 5. Like I said, when I was doing a ton of Amazon onto eBay, I was bulk listing any item under the sun. I didn't know what these items were. I didn't separate them by star rating. I just threw them all up there. It didn't matter to me because returns didn't matter. But nowadays, if you're listing terrible, crappy items, then you will be getting a lot more returns because they've proven over time to not be good items. But if you pick an item like this, the Mainstays full queen metal headboard, multiple colors, this has 4.5 stars out of 1,610 reviews. This is an item that you should list. This is an item that you should stay away from. Also, it's a bestseller, so you can look at all of your suppliers, whatever your supplier is, Walmart, Amazon, Home Depot, the obscure suppliers that I talk about inside of my paid course, anything like that. You're going to want to make sure that your reviews and your star rating on these items are extremely good. Therefore, you are mitigating the chance that anybody is going to return your item. So like I said, focus on high quality items. And secondly, the more reviews, the better. The more social proof an item has, just like when you're selling on eBay. If you sold the item 60 times, somebody's more likely to buy from you than somebody that doesn't have any selling history on that item just because of social proof. Social proof proves that this item is better than this one just based off of customer reviews in the past. Also, one thing to avoid, and one thing that I've really practiced a lot in the last 3 to 4 months, is don't sell breakable items. Don't sell anything that's glass, pottery, plates, anything like that. There's a high chance that they're going to break in shipping, and then you're going to have to either return or do a refund or a replacement or anything like that. That's extra time, extra fees. You might be losing out on your return fees. If somebody does ask for a return, you have to actually refund them on PayPal, then you're going to be losing those fees. So don't sell anything breakable just because of the fact that there's a high chance that it will break in shipping. It's common sense when you think about it, but a lot of people don't think about it that way, and that's one thing I've really been implementing in the last 3 to 4 months. Also, why not put buyer pays returns on your listing? I know it's a big thing to make your items as appeasable to the buyer as possible by doing seller pays return shipping, because the majority of the time, if you're doing Walmart onto eBay, then you don't have to actually pay for the return label. So why not make it free? But if you say buyer pays returns, most cases, in my opinion, from what I've seen, the buyer is less likely to actually return the item because they say that buyer pays returns. But also, if they say that the item was broken, then buyer pays returns no longer stands up and you still have to pay for the return label. But I do believe that that is one thing that will deter the buyer from opening up a return case or from buying the item in the first place, and you'll have a more serious buyer, and a more serious buyer is less likely to ask for a return or a refund. So that's one of the last ways. And then the last way here is customer service is key. What can you do to the customer or help the customer out with in order to make sure that they do not open up a return case? First off, you can offer them a partial refund. A partial refund of $20 on an order of $100. Sometimes you can go to Walmart and ask and say, oh, well, this item was broken. Can I please have a refund? A partial refund of $20, the fees on $20 is a lot less than the fees on $100. So therefore, you'll be losing a lot less money than you would if you were to do a return or a refund on the full amount of the item. Why not offer a partial refund? Why not deal with the customer? Do a replacement. Try to deal with your supplier and see what your supplier says about it. Avoid a return at all costs nowadays, because you will be incurring extra losses on top of it. PayPal will be stealing your money. And also, did I mention that, did I miss anything that was important? That's one of my questions here. And would you do anything different? Do you have any other opinions out there? What other ideas that I may have missed do you think are a great idea in order to avoid returns? So, conclusion, first off, eBay is getting rid of PayPal soon. They are no longer using PayPal. I think there is a way to connect it later on, but they are going into their own payment processing system, much like the way Amazon does it. So you will not have to deal with these problems for very long. So avoid them for as much as possible, for as long as possible. But, just really really realize that eBay is getting rid of PayPal. So hopefully this doesn't last for as long as we think it's going to. Also, know your items. Make sure your items are good. Know everything about your items. Make sure that your pictures really describe what your item is. Make sure your description and your item specifics really describe what your item is. The more information you can give your buyer, the less likely they are to make a purchase that they regret because your pictures didn't tell the story, or your description didn't tell a story, or your item specifics didn't tell a story. They didn't give the right sizes. They didn't give the right material. The more information you can give your buyer, the less likely that they are to have a return later on, unless the item shows up completely damaged and broken and mangled. And that's one thing to try to avoid as much as possible. If you're sending somebody a blender, or if you're sending somebody like a toaster oven in the mail, it's less likely that it's going to break compared to something like a picture frame or a glass table or something like that. Try to avoid those at all costs. Also, address items that get returned. So if you see an item that keeps getting returned or people keep complaining about it, address that item. What is wrong with that item? What can you do to fix it or take it off your store? Do not get emotionally attached to items that are on your store that are selling well. Just because they're selling well doesn't mean they're good items for your store, and they might cause more problems down the road, such as negative feedback, high return rates, loss of money, than they're actually incurring you on the front end and the profit that they're making over the lot of sales that you have from them. Also, don't sell crap. There's no need to be selling crap items anymore, because with a manual eBay dropshipping store, you can have 500 items on your store and make a full-time income. It doesn't matter anymore. You really need to pick the best items you possibly can for success in 2019 on your store, and you'll be happy that you did so, because I can guarantee you that you will be incurring extra fees if you don't know what you're doing and if you're going about this lackadaisically. But if you do follow the rules that I'm talking about in this video and the rules that I talk about inside of my course, then you will realize that you can have a small amount of items, well-curated list of items, and be making a killing with these items at the same time. You want to keep customers happy, second to last, you want to keep your customers happy. Make sure that you can do everything possible to make sure that they're not going to return the item. Give them a partial refund, explain something to them. A lot of people say, oh, I couldn't set this up, or oh, there was an issue with the item, but in reality, they were just like, they didn't read the instruction manual or something like that, or that you didn't give them as much information as they needed. If you can help the buyer out, there's a good chance that you can avoid a return altogether. And last but not least, manual dropshipping with a small store is the only way to go in 2019. If you have thousands and thousands of items up on your account, you do not know if these are good items. You do not know the specifics about these items. If you have, I've seen people making a killing with less than 100 items or 50 items on their store, and they're doing very, very well with it. They know everything about those items. Those are highly curated listings, and they're selling a lot. They are money-making machines, and you don't have to do very much to keep up with that list. As long as that is a good list of items, all you need to do is keep up with your sales and your customer service, and you should be fine. So those are my main tips and the conclusions on what I have with the PayPal not returning your fees update of 2019. It is a shock, and I'm sure a lot of you guys didn't know that this was coming, but I do want to alert everybody out there in the eBay dropshipping world about this update, because I do think that it is extremely important for everybody to know. So finally, last but not least, if you have any questions that I didn't ask or that I didn't address or anything about that, please don't be afraid to ask questions. I've said it in the last 4 or 5 videos. If you have questions, there's 10 other people, 100 other people out there that also have the same question. They're just too afraid to ask. No question is a stupid question. The only stupid question is the one that you didn't ask. So secondly, if you found this helpful, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. We just hit 6,000 subscribers, and I want to get all this information out to everybody possible that's in the eBay dropshipping sphere, that manual eBay dropshipping is the way to go in 2019, and you can still use software, which is my next video that I'm going to be talking about. You just have to be using the right software and doing it correctly, running your store as tightly as possible, like a tight run ship, and you will be fine, and you will be making a lot more money with higher profits than you were with old, outdated methods. Also, make sure to hit the bell notification after you subscribe to this video, because I've realized that YouTube actually does not push the video to you unless you hit that bell notification. You will get a notification every time I post a video, and you can stay up to date on the most up-to-date content on manual dropshipping that I'm putting out there to date. And also, there is a free mini course in the description. I've only announced this on one other video, which was a live, and there is a free mini course in the description that I did create for you guys. So if you want more information on how I run my manual eBay dropshipping business and a little bit more on the insides of what I'm doing, then be sure to check out that free mini course in the description. It is going to take you to Facebook when you click the link, but if you made it this far, I'm sure that you guys have the ability or the drive to go through Facebook, click the other link, and then be able to, check out the mini course from there. So check that out. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section, either on the mini course or down below here on the YouTube video. I would love to hear from you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you got a lot out of it. Let me know any other suggestions of videos that you want to hear about in the next week or month to come. I'm really getting on track with my videos and what, the schedule of when I'm putting them out, because I was a little off track with making this course, but now I'm back on track. So I hope you guys had a great Easter, because this is the day after Easter right now that I'm recording it, and I'll see you in the next video.